Like, I was one of the first people that's doing a PhD from an Ivy League. Now I have 10 years in Medina. Still don't know anybody who's done something like this. I mean, and I'm being honest with you. You're all Tulab al-Ilm and have studied Islamic sciences. Wallahi, I'll be honest with you. The shubuhats that I was exposed to at Yale, some of them I still don't have answers for.
The same as the evidences of the Quraysh, that is simply false. That is totally false. The Quraysh, when they worship their gods, they recognize them to be gods, and they recognize what they're doing is worship. مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ. We only worship them. They consider it to be worship. But no Muslim ever says, I am worshipping the Prophet ﷺ, I'm worshipping Abdul Qadir al-Jilani or Ali or these other, then no Muslim says this or believes this. In their mind it is not worship. And if in their mind it is not worship, if they don't consider it to be worship, and we believe إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, how can we consider it to be worship?
One of the more, let's just say, one of the more, I don't know how to say this, but one of the more disgraced or one of the more ridiculed Muslim scholars, so-called Muslim scholar, that's been getting a lot of attention recently for all the wrong reasons, is a Muslim scholar by the name of Yasir Qadhi. Now, Yasir Qadhi is, in my opinion, he's not a Muslim anymore. The whole reason why I'm making this video is because you can't trust these imams and you can't trust these Muslim scholars anymore because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And another reason why you can't trust them is because a lot of them have ulterior motives, which makes me question their faith in Islam. Now, I have a lot of respect for Shabir Ali because at least Shabir Ali is honest, and at least Shabir Ali, admits when he doesn't know anything, when he doesn't know something. So Shabir Ali is the only Muslim imam or the Muslim scholar I respect and have a lot of respect for. The issue really arises, that Shabir Ali's been saying some things which are controversial, and that's true. I'm not denying that. But again, Shabir Ali's not saying anything unreasonable. People, the Muslim YouTubers like Farid Responds, Daniel H. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Daniel H. The Muslim YouTubers, the Mad Mollusk or whatever they're called. All these Salafi Muslim YouTubers or whatever are pretty much blaming Shabir Ali for saying things that are saying things that could take one out of the faith in Islam. But they're completely ignoring the fact that what Shabir Ali is saying is not only reasonable, but it's backed up by Quran and Sunnah. Everything he says can be backed up by the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, I'm not going to get into Shabir Ali here because this video is about Yasir Qadhi, not Shabir Ali. But all I'm saying is that we have to be careful about how we learn Islam and who we learn Islam with. So a lot of my learning of Islam came from my own independent studying and my independent research. And I think if you're a Muslim apologist and if you want to be a student of knowledge when it comes to Islam, and you want to be a knowledgeable Muslim about various Islamic topics, unfortunately, you can't trust these imams and these so-called scholars, etc. You have to do your own research. You have to be an independent. You have to be an independent researcher, and you have to be an independent scholar, and you have to be an independent, learning about these things. Because, these days you can't trust people like Sheikh Yasir Qadhi. Now, what Sheikh Yasir Qadhi does is, I think the problem with Sheikh Yasir Qadhi is he's a closet atheist, right? So he's secretly an atheist, but he doesn't want to admit he's an atheist because he's going to lose all the attention, and he's going to lose the attention and platform the Muslims are giving him. So he's not going to go ahead and admit this. But watch those, like I showed in those previous clips that you saw before this video started rolling. Yasir Qadhi does have doubts in Islam. He does doubt the Adam and Eve story that takes you out of the fold of Islam. He does doubt some things in Islam. He does say there's some doubts he has about Islam, about the Quran, etc. And the whole standard narrative has holes in it has been blowing up on the internet. People, non-Muslims, have been laughing at Yasir Qadhi left and right because of his claims that the Quran hasn't been preserved and his own doubts about the Quran and Islam. So Yasir Qadhi is kind of becoming a laughingstock among non-Muslims, and even Muslims are making fun of him. But the real issue really arises that Yasir Qadhi praises Western academia, right? He praises Western scholarship, and he doesn't even go into traditional Islamic scholarship. So basically, I looked over some classes of Sheikh Yasir Qadhi. Yeah, unfortunately, it was like, not only was it a waste of time, but it was a waste of money too. But anyways, he basically overpraises people like Dr. Joseph S. Sands, Dr. John Hoover, etc. He says that. He basically, overpraises these Western academics and these Western scholars, even though these Western academics and Western scholars are no friends to Islam. They say Prophet Muhammad is a false prophet. They say the Quran is, a product of Muhammad's imagination. Muhammad made up the Quran, etc., etc. So these would, and Muhammad was immoral, etc., etc. So these would take you out of the fold of Islam. But Yasir Qadhi seems to be kissing the ass of Western academics, and he throws Islamic scholarship and traditional Islamic scholarship and traditional Islamic scholars under the bus. He just doesn't care about them. So this is kind of this is kind of unfortunate, and this is kind of where the imams, the popular social media imams, and the social media Muslim scholars are going. So basically, I'll just give some comments here, and this is comments from Sheikh Yasir Qadhi. He says, commenting on Dr. Aaron Zos, Qadhi says, Aaron Zos, a good friend of mine, not a good friend and acquaintance, but a genius. This guy's a total genius. And concerning Dr. John Hoover, another Western academic or Orientalist, he says, John Hoover is an academic who I greatly admire, a good friend of mine. Out of all the people in the world who were tasked to write this book, had it been other than John Hoover, I would have been irritated. Then Yasir Qadhi drools over, he literally drools, his words, not mine, over, a Western academic's book on Islamic theology. He says, this is Dr. Qadhi saying, when I came from Medina to Yale and I was exposed to this book in German, and I was fresh out of Medina, I found this book and this is his words, not mine, and I almost literally drooling. I was almost literally drooling. Like, I could not believe that one person had done this. And this is all in Sheikh Yasir Qadhi's class. This is from class 2, class 4, et cetera, et cetera. So these are all, if you take Yasir Qadhi's class, you'll get these exact, quotes from him and the timestamps that he says it. So basically, this is where Yasir Qadhi's going. He's already, in my opinion, he's left Islam, and now he's overpraising Western academics who study Islam, and they're saying they're superior to traditional Muslim scholars in terms of academics, etc. So then he recommends stuff like the Oxford Handbook of Islamic Theology. He says, I studied at advanced institutions in the Islamic world. I have hundreds of books on theology written by Muslims and non-Muslims, and this type of writing, what we are reading, it is simply non-existent in the Muslim world, simply non-existent. Now, this is false because, many Muslim scholars have written books that are, just as good as the Oxford Handbook of Islamic Theology. Not even like modern Muslim scholars. Muslim scholars like Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah has written, a bunch of, books on Islamic theology. Ibn Kathir wrote a bunch of books on Islamic scholarship and Islamic theology. Al-Tabari wrote not only a entire history set, but he wrote an entire commentary on Islam, on the Quran, etc. And even these Western academics praise, like, where do Western academics get information about Islam from? Do they just pull stuff out of their ass? No, they actually go and they actually study the Islamic material. They study, the biographies of the Prophet. They study Ibn Ishaq. They study the history of Al-Tabari. They study Sahih al-Bukhari. I think they do. Then they study Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Jalaluddin. They study, Ibn Hajar Asqalani's commentary. Well, some of them. Ibn Hajar's commentary on Sahih Bukhari, Imam Nawawi's commentary on Sahih Muslim, etc. So they study, the Quran. They study Ibn Ishaq, Al-Waqidi, Ibn Sa'd al-Tabari. They study Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud. They study, Ibn Kathir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Tafsir al-Tabari. They study all these Muslim sources, right? And then they draw their own conclusions, or they do their research on Islam based on, Muslim sources, right? Like the Quran, like Ibn Ishaq, like the history of Al-Tabari. They study Sahih al-Bukhari. They study this stuff, and then they write their papers and their conclusions based on our sources. So Yasir Qadhi has this problem. The problem is Yasir Qadhi has he has a inferiority complex, right? He thinks, oh well, they're white and they're white and they're Western academics, therefore they must be right, and I'm just gonna take what they say and I'm just gonna ignore Muslim scholarship. I'm gonna ignore traditional Muslim scholarship, what Ibn Hajar says, what Imam Nawawi says. I'm gonna ignore all that. I'm just gonna focus on Western academics, or what Western academics say about Islam. And this is the problematic approach with Dr. Yasir Qadhi. So this is why Dr. Yasir Qadhi cannot be trusted. Yeah, I know he studied at Yale University. He keeps bringing it up, yada yada yada. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about your degrees, man. Like, it matters about your theology. Like, why are you going to learn your theology from someone who has doubts about their religion, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's like a Christian learning Christianity from Bart Ehrman, even though Bart Ehrman is a atheist or agnostic. He doesn't believe in the New Testament. He doesn't believe in Christianity, etc., etc. So the whole point is that Yasir Qadhi can't be trusted because he has doubts about Islam, and he's coming up with Islamic, he's getting his information from Islam from Western academics, these Orientalists, etc., etc., who already have like who are already projecting their subjective conclusions on Islam, etc. So this is why we have to. That's why if you want to learn Islam, and I'm being honest here, this is the way how I learned not only Islam but Judaism, Christianity, etc. Is I did my own independent research. I did my own independent studying. So that's where I learned, that's where I learned religion from, So if you want to be a Muslim YouTuber, if you want to be a Muslim scholar, if you want to be a Muslim student of knowledge, etc., not only about Islam, but other religions too, like Christianity, Judaism, the Bible, etc., you got to do your own independent studying, because you just cannot trust these social media imams, because they're after the wrong things. They're after platforms. They're after money. They're after praise, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure Yasir Qadhi's not after money. I don't know what Yasir Qadhi's after. Maybe he likes the attention. I don't know. But the point is he has doubts about Islam. He doubts the Quran's preservation, because he said the standard narrative has holes in it. Everybody was making fun of him. Now he's retracting. Now I think he quit social media, or he quit some form of social media. I don't know. But the damage has already been done, and Yasir Qadhi's true colors have come out. He's not a Muslim. He's actually an agnostic, or he's actually an atheist, disguised as a Muslim. This has become more and more obvious once you read his material, once you study that Muhammad Hijab interview, where he openly doubts the Quran's preservation. This is not a Muslim. This is somebody who's an atheist disguised as a Muslim. So again, you got to be careful where you get your Islam from. If you want to learn about Islam, if you want to learn about the Quran, etc., do your own independent research, because that's what it's coming to. Every Muslim is on their own when it comes to learning about their religion, right? You can't trust anybody. You got to do your own thing at this point. So it's like what they say in, there's a really good show I used to watch called Prison Break. And in Prison Break, one of the characters, I don't remember who says this, but one of the characters says, it's every man for himself in prison. Well, no, C-Note, there you go. C-Note says Darwin wins because it's every man for himself, right? So when you're studying Islam, etc., it's every man for himself. You got to do your own independent research and your own independent studying if you want to know the truth about Islam, about the Prophet Muhammad, about the Quran, about the Hadith, about the Sirah or biographies, the Hadith comment. You got to do your own independent research. Feel free to use my videos, but please, or the information that I've made available on the internet, but please do your own research when it comes to not just Islam, but Christianity, Judaism as well, and then make up your own, and then draw your own conclusions. Don't listen to people like David Wood. Don't listen to people like Sheikh Yasir Qadhi. Just do your own research and come up with your own conclusions. So, if life has a currency, the currency of life is time. And it's what we do with our time on this earth that matters. So use your time wisely. Follow your curiosity. Follow your passion. If you're curious and if you're passionate about Islam, do your own research. And I hope to God that God guides you to the truth. Thank you.